This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mohsin.
It's the Pittsburgh Weekend Edition with the Mohsin Program. Feel free to call me at 1-800-662-9550. Always great to have you with me here, Pete. How are you today?
Doing great, Sarah. So, folks, do not go away for the next few minutes. Stick around. We're going to want you to find out a lot more about saving money here with the Mohsin Program. Don't forget, you can always connect with Sarah at 1-800-662-9550, 800-662-9550. All right, let's jump right in, Sarah, with some of those easy ways to maximize our savings. Boy, I love the sound of that.
Right, and I think that maximizing your savings, there are many things that can be done. It's all about asking the question. Here are the things that we've chatted about before, Pete, about 401ks, and literally the difference between putting money towards your retirement fund, your 401k, versus the IRAs. So with 401k, the great part of it is free money because of the fact that you're able to, if your company is willing to give you, let's say, a dollar-for-dollar match, that means that you can max out your 401k, which is about $18,500. Mm-hmm. Put in $9,000. They would put in the additional $9,000 if it's dollar-for-dollar matching funds. Or if it's even 50 cents to the dollar, it is free money. And with that being said, you can purchase a home, perhaps, take money out of your 401k. People are always alarmed. They're like, well, we don't want to be penalized. Your 401k plan, when you're taking money out typically to buy a home, you're not penalized. Just take that money out and pay it back as you see fit.
Okay.
Right. So it is
Love
a nice thing, as you can see, with property values going up. This is a great time to buy.
Wonderful time to buy. And folks, you don't want to pass it up. Either take advantage of it right away. Give Sarah a call at 1-800-662-9550. Take advantage of the savings. Take advantage of a great market right now in housing and refinancing. 1-800-662-9550 or 9550, as we say in the biz. Hey, savings, a showdown with a 401k versus IRAs. Talking about savings, I mean, you've already kind of jumped into here, but there's a lot going on between the two. What do we do?
Well, with the IRAs, there are income limits. So if you make too much, you can't deduct, you can't make contributions. So there are limitations to that. Mm-hmm. And as I've said to folks before, we do lending in 37 states. So we're in Florida, Massachusetts, in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. And it is a great time to not only buy, but to refinance. And some of the options with a 401k plan is you can take that money out and purchase a home for 3.5% down. One of the big things that I believe in, and you and I have chatted about this over and over again, is health and wellness. And we are a big believer in this. We've supported many causes, and we certainly are excited also to share in Pittsburgh. We're going to be speaking at the Highmark event, which has over 1,000 attendees. It's a women's health fair, and sharing the upcoming book that is coming out with Salem Media Group. So that book in itself, The Gift Is You, with the infinity sign, is a collaboration. A number of good friends of mine who have written, Pat Williams from Orlando Magic, as well as David Kilgore, who was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And as you and I were sharing off-air, the funds are going towards St. Jude Children's Hospital.
Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful.
So I'm really excited about that because I do believe in financial fitness and wellness as well for our families. So this is something that is truly a wonderful experience that we have done together. Thanks to you, Pete. You have been so crucial and helpful to the whole process. And so I'm really excited about this, and for our Pittsburgh folks as well as for folks from all over the country to come visit us at the Highmark event and call us here at 1-800-662-9550.
Hey, you know what? Let's circle back around to the book a little bit. I'm very excited about it. It's about ready to be exploding on the book market. Available at all sorts of little bookeries everywhere, right? And but what can people expect from your book, from a book from Sarah? What is that going to have in it?
Right. Well, it's a book that is really not my book, as I've always said. My mom always said, "Didn't you know it's not good to talk about yourself?" And it certainly really isn't about me. It is about sharing stories and the people that have been very, very kind and have been a part of my life. And as I said, my first job, I was an intern for David Kilgore. He was a member of Parliament and was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And he has done so many great things, human rights activist. So they're just sharing stories, and folks, if you read these stories, they will pertain to each and every one of you. So everybody has options to read one chapter or all 9 chapters. But the most important thing is it's a gift in itself because of the fact that we're sharing the funds with St. Jude's Hospital. 83 cents of each dollar goes to the families. So that is even more exciting.
That's huge. That's a lot. And kudos to you guys connecting with St. Jude. That makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference. Children, I think that it's for anyone going through any type of situation, health situation. I've always said we are all about health and wellness. We've been a part of the American Cancer Society. We are very much about charitable causes and even on the educational front. So I do encourage folks to ask the question when it comes to their finances because it can also affect your health. And one of the big things, what we've seen throughout the different states here in Pennsylvania or Florida, Massachusetts for that matter, when we're doing lending, we're all going through the same challenges. Whether the mortgage is too high or we don't know whether we're paying too much, our average savings is anywhere from $200 to $300 per person for their monthly savings on a mortgage because we work with 50 wholesale lenders. So it gives you an opportunity to not get that second job or third job, but to spend time with your family and reduce that mortgage payment dramatically. And rates are at 3 to 4% fixed rates. These are fixed rates, not adjustable rates, which is where you need to be, and they're risk-free. And our wholesale lenders are very much in a place where you can get approved at 580 scores. Even if your debt-to-income ratio is over 45%, we go up to 50%. So we're very easy in that sense.
Well, I think the bottom line is that it's a great time to be in the market for refinancing or for purchasing a home, and you are in the right place at the right time. So let's connect some listeners with you at the Mohsin Mortgage Company. Call Sarah, 1-800-662-9550. You picked a great time to be here and to be in the market. 1-800-662-9550. 9550. You know what? It's time to save some money, folks. Glad you're here for the Mohsin program today. Okay, let's jump right in. Let's talk about credit impacts and how credit does impact our day-to-day life. And you know what? I think it impacts us more than we think, doesn't it?
Well, it does impact us greatly because if you have, let's say, medical debt, it affects your FICO score. So it does drop your scores. And in some cases, I've seen folks who have been turned down from lending institutions. So retail banks, credit unions, local banks, they apply their guidelines differently. We don't compete against them. They just are very stringent. So they are not in a place where they would approve certain types of loans, which are very risk-free. They're just set in a way that they will approve folks with 660 scores, maybe 640 scores. We're at 580 scores. And also, if you have outstanding medical bills or bills that haven't been paid, we will not hold you hostage to that. That is not going to hold you against buying a home, let's say, or refinancing your mortgage. So getting sick has led to millions of Americans paying more for car loans or credit cards or mortgages, etc. Our goal is to look at the present. Today's a brand new day, as I always say, and so we have to look at where we're going, reaching our goals together. And the way we can do that for folks is literally refinancing your mortgage or even being in a mortgage-free option. And I've seen this a lot in states, Pennsylvania, for example, and Florida, 2 states that are very much in need of looking at options where you can be mortgage-free. At 62 years of age, you have an option now to literally not have to pay a mortgage. Even if you've been late on the mortgage or let's say your score is poor or you're heading towards foreclosure, what it does is it allows you to live in that home, will that property to your family member, or even revert back to a mortgage if you wish. So there's nothing here that's holding you hostage to any type of situation. And this mortgage-free option, which I've always said to folks, is something that needs to be looked at. And I say, ask me the question. And then when you move forward to actually look at that option and be able to be mortgage-free, you will be speaking with a government-sponsored agent who will go through the process with you and then make sure that you understand the actual loan in itself. And then you proceed with us at Mohsin Mortgage.
Okay.
Right, and I love that because you know what? It doesn't hold you hostage to anything. You can revert back to having a mortgage or be mortgage-free and be able to sell the house at a later point. And one of the biggest questions people always say, well, if I'm mortgage-free, I'm living in that house, I'm 62 years of age, will I get approved if my spouse is younger than that? Yes. Or will I be able to will that property to a family member, or is that going to the bank? no, you will be able to will that property to your family member, and this property does not go to the bank. It is your home.
Yeah, see, that's the hard part to imagine. It's like, oh, wait a minute. If I don't have a mortgage, how can it be my house?
Right, and that's simply where we come in. And I've always said, ask the question and call us, so we can share and chat about these options. And you are in a place to be able to see whether this is something that will work for you. And if not, you can refinance the mortgage. Rates are in the 3s and 4s, fixed rates. And you don't want to be in an exotic loan. And this has impacted us in Pennsylvania, in Florida, in California, where we're holding adjustable rates, or we have a second mortgage and we think it's a credit line, but it is a second mortgage, and you need to get into a fixed rate. There's no reason for you to have an adjustable rate that can implode. It can go up to 7%, 8%, and your payments triple.
Yeah. Ooh. You know what? Those days are long gone, right? So lots of options, folks, at Mohsin. So give Sarah a call at 1-800-662-9550. Great money-saving options. Let's talk about money and how spouses sometimes really are not up to speed on communicating about money. Pretty tough thing to do sometimes, isn't it?
Right. I think it's difficult sometimes talking to your spouse about money, and I think that is a priority. It should be, because of the fact that it creates a lot of problems within the relationship, and typically what creates, a large part of the divorce rate, unfortunately, is based on the fact that we're not communicating when it comes to our finances. So for those who are discussing finances with their spouses, that's a great thing, and having healthy conversations. There are some suggestions. I've always said, when we're actually refinancing folks on their commercial property or residential property in 37 states, we've always said, bring in your husband or wife to have the conversation together to see where you want to go. Do you want to reduce the interest rate, save money, take money out? And in some situations, property values may have not gone up, where you can actually still refinance and not have any equity. Maybe you're upside down on the mortgage and still save $200, $300, $400 a month. So one of the things I say is, it's a meeting of minds, and make it fun. Scheduled event kind of sounds very rigid, but you need to at least maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month have a date, and make it fun and talk about. It doesn't have to mean you have to go out of the house and spend more money. You could do it at home. And you could discuss where your goals are, because typically what happens is a lot of folks think that, we are going to hit that goal where we're going to retire together, and yet you haven't discussed what your retirement plans are, and you might be in two different places. So it is very important to be in a place of preparation and share and ask questions with, as I've always said, you can call me, ask for Sarah, and I will chat with you and share information on your different options, because there are so many options.
Yeah.
For folks who are looking to save money as homeowners.
Lots of options, gets everyone on the same page, important information, great advice there. So give Sarah a call at 1-800-662-9550. And you're listening to the Mohsin program, the Pittsburgh Weekend Edition. Let's get back with our host, Sarah from Mohsin Mortgage. How much should you save for retirement? Is there a level? Is there a specific number? Or how do we formulate that?
It really depends on where we are, literally, because when we're looking at the ability to save, one of the biggest questions that has come up is, I don't have funds available. And if you're a homeowner, a large part of your savings and retirement funds are going into a higher mortgage payment. And so that $300-$400, I guarantee you, that you're paying with your existing lender, that's the money that you should be put aside for retirement, for your 401k. And nearly 40% of American workers think they need to save more than 20% of their income each year to reach their retirement goal. Another 27% have no idea how much they should be saving. So basically, what are the right answers for this? If you start early, saving 15% a year will put you on a pace for a comfortable retirement. If you start later, then you're going to obviously have to put in more. But the bottom line is this: there's really no absolutely correct way of doing this, because of the fact that we have actually seen in the last 7 to 8 years, everything that we have planned and decided to do to make sure we retire properly has collapsed because of the housing market. So people have lost a ton of money in the market and have said, listen, I've done everything right, yet it didn't work for me. So what do we do in a perfect storm like this, with rates at 60-year lows and money actually being at a point where it's basically free. So as homeowners, I've always said it's time to rethink and reprocess and regroup and make a plan, even if, let's say, you're not financially strapped, to make sure that you're paying the absolute lowest on that mortgage. Because success really is not about the second or third job and paying your bills. Success is having that one job and making sure that you have enough time for your family. So that mortgage payment is critical. That is what's creating more grief to you because of the fact that you're paying more. And with us here at Mohsin, we do have 50 wholesale lenders, and the market changes minute by minute, Pete. So that's what's exciting about what we do. Literally, the rate changes. So we can get you a 4% rate or a 3% fixed rate. And as I've always said, we have been doing this for so many years. We've been on air for over 8 years with Salem Media Group. And as I've always said with our folks listening in Pittsburgh or Orlando or even in Boston, what we have offered are options that are available for folks from all walks of life. It does not mean that lending is an exclusive sport. I dislike that. The fact that someone who may have made some mistakes, they're not even mistakes, they're life lessons, to be denied a loan because their score is at 580 or not be told what needs to be done to raise that score, that's simply not the way lending is supposed to be about. So I have always said, ask the question, ask for Sarah so I can help you get to the point where you can reach your financial goals. And
you know what? All they have to do is make a phone call. That's how you start reaching those goals. She'll help you out at 1-800-662-9550. 800-662-9550. Great information there, folks. I think you can see and hear that Sarah knows what she's talking about. So you might want to check in with her as soon as you can at 1-800-662-9550 and get the savings happening and get it going right away. All right, let's resolve some credit card debt. You know, we've got a lot of it. Some folks, you've got a high number for average. I assume that's pretty much the same to this day on a national average. But resolving that credit card debt, how do we do that? What's the best way?
Well, resolving credit card debt is a very simple, straightforward situation for homeowners because of the fact that equity is up with most properties. We do lending in 37 states, so depending where you are, we have options to easily do a cash out feature. So you can pick and choose the bills. Typically, we're averaging $400 to $800 a month, and that way you can pay those bills off and not have to be in a situation where you're not able to save that money and save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So one of the things that is always amazing and what I love is that numbers don't lie. So if you have, let's say, what we call a jumbo loan, a $417,000 loan amount, those loans have higher interest rates because they're considered riskier. We offer rates that are the same as what you would see with 30-year mortgages on a $100,000 loan amount or a $500,000 loan amount. So for folks who are at a $417,000 loan amount on a mortgage, they're paying a higher amount on their mortgage every month. So typical savings for, let's say, a $500,000 property that we can easily save is $1,500 a month, and then you times that by the 30 years for the life of the loan by reducing the rate, and we've saved over $500,000 in interest. That's money you would be.
Let me get my calculator out, double check, make sure that she's got that right there. Oh my gosh, you are absolutely correct. That is huge money.
It is.
What big savings there?
It makes a big difference in what we're looking at long term. I know we're about short-term gain a lot here. We're very consumer-driven, but at the end of the day, take a peek at your mortgage statement, folks, and see what is going on. And as I've always said, our folks here in Pennsylvania, very savvy and conservative, just like our folks in Florida. But once in a while, it just takes a minute just to see, are you really saving as much as you should? And the fact that wholesale lending provides a lower rate, and we certainly can get you approved even if you have a 580 score or if you want to be mortgage-free. If you're 62 years of age and you don't want to pay a mortgage, certainly do that and still will the property or sell it at a later point.
Pittsburgh, connect with Sarah right away at 1-800-662-9550. 800-662-9550. There's still a lot of the Mohsin program coming up. All right, let's talk about college expenses. It's back to school time already. So the average spend on college expenses, what are we talking about there?
Well, average college expenses are, as you would say, high in general.
Yeah, oh gosh. I can imagine.
They're saying that U.S. families spend significantly more in 2015 to send kids to college. So what we're looking at is, an average of $24,000, maybe even more. It's a 16% leap from the $20,000 in 2014, Pete. So
now are you just talking about tuition and books and maybe a meal or two, or are we talking about the total package, which is even more housing? You know, kids, I don't want to live on campus, or I want to live with my buddies, or I'm going to join the fraternity or sorority. I need a car.
They're saying college tuition, so we're looking at.
Oh, you're just talking at the tip of the iceberg,
right? Unfortunately, it's not all the other parts of it, but it is a family affair now. I mean, paying for college in the U.S. is often a family affair, and it does require co-signing. And how do we cover the expenses? So there is a 16% leap, as we've seen from last year, and it is something that I really, really encourage folks to chat with me about. Co-signing on anything for that matter makes a difference in your credit report and how it's going to affect you. So I really, really encourage folks to chat with me day or night, 1-800-662-9550. You and I have talked about co-signing, Pete, many, many times. And student loans, for that matter, if one person is not paying that bill, or if it's a car loan for that matter, it's going to affect the other person's score. You
know, one thing I did notice, that a tip that I got from you was, you know, I'm co-signed on a student loan. My daughter's graduated. Now it's time to be paying the loan, and she's staying up for pretty good. But you know what? Maybe a little extra effort in making sure that is happening can really make a big difference, can't it, for you?
Right. It does make a big difference. And I think that if you're looking at rates, they're higher when it comes to student loans. Some of them are adjustable. And if you're in a position to just literally lower the interest rate on your mortgage, refinance, and work with just having a separate agreement with your child on how that payment is going to be made through a cash out on the mortgage, that's far better. Because when you're refinancing the mortgage, I've had thousands of folks that I've talked to over the last 8 years with Salem Media. We've been on the air with our Florida stations, with our Massachusetts stations, as well as being a guest on the Glenn Meekum program in Pittsburgh, and a few other shows, the Wall Street Business Network with Jim Turner. So I do encourage folks to really, really ask the question about, what are we going to do about college, and are we going to co-sign, or should we just refinance and get a benefit by reducing the mortgage itself, and also making sure that if we need cash out, we can work with college instead of going into a program where there may be an issue of paying back that student loan at a later point.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, great ideas there. You know what, folks? Lots of options, so find out more, or just expect the kids to come back and live in the basement when they're all done with college as well. So 1-800, and you guys can sit and look at each other and go, did you make the payment yet? Huh? Student loan? Anyway, you don't want that. 1-800-662-9550. There's a lot of ways to get out from underneath that big debt. 1-800-662-9550. Let's talk about interest-only mortgages. Very interesting concept there. What's the latest?
Well, interest-only mortgages were around for a reason many, many years ago. And also, one of the things that I find that really needs to be brought out in the open is that an interest-only mortgage creates and wreaks havoc on folks who may not understand the dynamics, or they haven't been given the information. It does work to a certain degree in certain situations, but rates are at 3 to 4% fixed rates with us. And an interest-only, you see these typically as hidden, and I call them hidden second mortgages, because you see folks saying, oh, I have a credit line or an equity line, and really they haven't been told that it's a second mortgage. And when you have that, it's either a rate that's adjusting, or you're only paying into the interest and not the principal of the payment, so it never really goes down. So both are lethal because of the fact that now you're being, held in a place where the rate might, the equity point of your home may dissolve because you're really not making any principal payments, and some of these rates are adjustable. And I've always said that there is a purpose for different types of loans. If you're moving out of the house in 7 years, perhaps an adjustable rate, but even nowadays that doesn't work because the fixed rates are as low as the adjustable rates, Pete, and there's no risk. Why put your home at risk where you should have peace of mind and be able to make sure that you can use that equity to better use? Take money out, put it towards renovations, put it towards your children's education, put it towards a 401k, not an adjustable rate, but a fixed rate that we can offer at Mohsin Mortgage, a low fixed rate.
Oh, come on. I miss the adjustable rate mortgages. Those were so fun. You come up on your anniversary date and you cringe. Gosh, I hope it doesn't go up 2 points. I hope.
Exactly.
But it always did. It always did. It never goes down.
No, I mean, the thing is that in the 90s, they were very popular, these interest-only or adjustable rates, because they were low, and our fixed rates were like 9, 10, 12, 15%. Mm-hmm. So that was a time where it proved to be useful, but now it doesn't, and it's just going to end up putting you at risk. And as I've always said, have that conversation with me. And one of the big things is that we're all about the circle of life. Whether you're buying a home, you're refinancing, you want to be mortgage-free and live in that home, we have options for folks from all walks of life. If not today, I promise you I'll give you the information so that you can move forward in the future. Get that home.
Oh, you know what? Take advantage of the wisdom that you can hear coming out of the radio right now. Take advantage of that one-on-one with Sarah at 1-800-662-9550. Sarah, I can't wait for our next Mohsin program.
Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.